Hi everyone, I Butun Gopal Singh. Welcome to this video channel Science Class 8. In today's video channel, we will study chapter number 5. Chapter number 5, Coal and Petroleum. So let's study this chapter number 5. It is in textbook page number 56. Let's see it. In textbook page number 56, chapter number 5, Coal and Petroleum. Let's see. Coal and petroleum. So, from this chapter, we will learn how coal and petroleum are formed. So, first let's read out. We use various materials for our basic needs. Some of them are found in nature and some have been made by human efforts. So, in our daily activity, we use various materials for our basic needs, and some are found in nature and some are made by human. So, activity 5.1, let's see. Make a list of various materials used by us in daily life and classify them as natural and man-made. Here we can write natural material, and here we can write man-made material. In the natural material, say we can mention air, water, soil, mineral, plants, animals, and say even sunlight. These are all natural materials. Say from the sunlight we can get light and heat. So in the man-made material, so many materials are around us. They are made by human. They are made by human. That means human effort. So you can write the things in this column. Let's continue. Does this list include air, water, soil, and minerals? Since all these are obtained from nature, they are called natural resources. So, in the natural material, say it may include air, water, soil, mineral, etc. So, all these are obtained from nature, so they are called natural resources. Here, can we use all our natural resources forever? Here one question is there. Can we use all our natural resources forever? The real answer for this question is no. Our natural resources we cannot use forever. One day it may be exhausted. Next, let's see. So we have to use natural resources judiciously for the for the next generation. Can air, water, and soil be exhausted by human activities? Here, one more question. Can air, water, and soil be exhausted by human activities? Air, water, and soil be exhausted by human activities. One question is here. So, you have already studied about water in class 7. Is water a limitless resource? Here also one more question. Is water a limitless resource? So, in the light of the availability of various resources in nature, natural resources can be broadly classified into two kinds. So natural resources can be broadly classified into two kinds, and they are: point number one, inexhaustible natural resources. Inexhaustible natural resources. So these resources, whatever we use, they cannot be exhausted. They are called inexhaustible natural resources. So these resources are present in unlimited quantity in nature and are not likely to be exhausted by human activities. So examples are sunlight and air. Sunlight and air, these are inexhaustible natural resources. Whatever we use, they may be inexhaustible. So sunlight and air, they are inexhaustible natural resources. Point number two, exhaustible natural resources. Exhaustible natural resources. The amount of these resources in nature is limited. They can be exhausted by human activities. Examples of these resources are forests, wildlife, minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. So these are the exhaustible natural resources. So amount of these natural resources in nature is limited. So they can be exhausted by human activities. So some examples are mentioned here. Say forest. In the forest, so many bamboos and trees are grown there. If we cut them, then it can be exhausted. Wildlife, minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas. So these are exhaustible natural resources. Activity 5.2, let's see here. It is a group activity. One activity is shown here. Take some containers. We have to take some containers and fill them with popcorn or peanuts or roasted gram or toffees. Divide students into groups of 7 each. Further divide each group into 3 subgroups containing 1, 2, and 4 students. Label them as first, second, and third generation respectively. So we have to take some containers, and in that containers we have to fill, say, maybe popcorn, peanut, or roasted gram or toffee, like that. And we have to divide the students into groups of 7 each. And out of that, further divide each group into 3 subgroups and containing 1, 2, and 4 students. And we have to label them as first, second, and third generation respectively. And next page, let's move. Here, these subgroups represent the consumers. As population is growing, second and third generations have larger number of consumers. Put one full container for each group on a table. Ask consumers of the first generation from each group to consume eatables from the container of their group. Now ask the second generation consumers from each group to do the same, and ask students to observe carefully the availability of eatables in each container. If something is left in the containers, ask the third generation from each group to consume it. Now, finally observe whether all the consumers of the third generation got the eatables or not. Also observe if anything is still left in any of the containers. This activity is quite beautiful, that the students are divided into 7 groups, and each groups are again subdivided into student number 1, 2, and 4, like that. Then limited amount of the food item are put in that container, and we have to consume that food items. So in the last generation, the food item may not be there. That means it is exhaustible. So let's continue. Assume that the eatables in the container represent the total availability of an exhaustible natural resource like coal, petroleum, or natural gas. Each group may have a different consumption pattern, and are the earlier generations of any group too greedy? It may be that the earlier generations in some groups were concerned about the coming generation and left something for them. So, in this chapter, we will learn about some exhaustible natural resources like coal, petroleum, and natural gas. These were formed from the dead remains of living organisms, that is, fossils. So here, the term fossil is mentioned here. So fossils are nothing, they are formed from the dead remains of plants and animals that are buried under the earth crust millions of years ago. So these are all known as fossil fuels. So here coal, petroleum, and natural gas, they are called fossil fuels. So here fuel, the real meaning of the word fuel means anything or any substance that can burn, that is called fuel. So exhaustible natural resources like coal, petroleum, and natural gas, they are all fossil fuels, and they are formed millions and millions years ago. Here, let's see coal. What is coal? You may have seen coal or heard about it. So, figure number 5.1. It is as hard as stone and is black in color. So, coal is as hard as stone and is black in color. Here, the diagram of coal is shown here in figure 5.1. Let's see. Coal is one of the fuels used to cook food, and coal is also used as a fuel to cook food. Earlier, it was used in railway engines to produce steam to run the engine. It is also used in thermal power plants to produce electricity. Coal is also used as a fuel in various industries. So, in various industries, coal is used as a fuel, and it is used in railway engines and steam engines fuel, particularly in, say, ships, and it is also used as fuel in thermal power plants also to produce electricity. Here, story of coal. Let's see. Where do we get coal from and how is it formed? From where we get coal and how it is formed. About 300 million years ago, the earth had dense forests in low-lying wetland areas. Due to natural processes like flooding, these forests got buried under the soil. As more soil deposited over them, and they were compressed, the temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. Under high pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted to coal, as coal contains mainly carbon. The slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. Since it was formed from the remains of vegetation, coal is also called as fossil fuel. A coal mine is shown in figure 5.2. So I will explain this first. About 300 million years ago, the Earth had dense forests in low-lying wetland area. So, due to natural processes like flooding, and these forests got buried under the soil. As more soil deposited over them, so they were compressed, and the temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. So under high pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted to coal, as coal contains mainly carbon. So the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. So what is carbonization? One question can arise, so you can answer from this. The process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. So since it was formed from the remains of vegetation, coal is also called as fossil fuel. So a coal mine is shown in figure 5.2. Let's see in the next page. Here you can see a coal mine. Figure 5.2, a coal mine. Look at your textbook. Look at this textbook. When heated in air, coal burns and produces mainly carbon dioxide gas. Coal is processed in industry to get some useful products such as coke, coal, tar, and coal gas. So here, coal is processed in industry to get some useful products. From the coals, we get some useful products like coke, coal, tar, and coal gas. So these are the useful products we get from the coal. Coke, let's see. It is a tough, porous, and black substance. It is an almost pure form of carbon. Coke is used in the manufacture of steel and in the extraction of many metals. Coal tar, let's see. It is a black, thick liquid. Figure 5.3, here coal tar is shown here with an unpleasant smell. So the smell of this coal tar is unpleasant, and it is a mixture of about 200 substances. Products obtained from coal tar are used as starting materials for manufacturing various substances used in everyday life and in industry. So, like synthetic dyes, drugs, explosives, perfumes, plastics, paints, photographic materials, roofing materials, etc. Interestingly, naphthalene balls used to repel moths and other insects are also obtained from coal tar. So here it is mentioned about the formation and the consistency of the coal tar. About 200 substances are present in the coal tar, and some of the useful materials like synthetic dyes, drugs, explosives, perfumes, plastics, paints, photographic material, roofing material, etc. are also available from the coal tar. And naphthalene balls generally we use in the almirah in order to protect from the moths use. So, and in order to protect from other insects also, these naphthalene balls are obtained from the coal tar. These days, bitumen, a petroleum product, is used in place of coal tar for metalling the rods. So in these days, bitumen, it is a product, petroleum product, is used in place of coal tar. In place of coal tar these days, bitumen is used for metalling the rods. Coal gas, let's say coal gas. Coal gas is obtained during the processing of coal to get coke. It is used as a fuel in many industries situated near the coal processing plants. So coal gas is obtained during the processing of coal to get coke, and it is used as a fuel in many industries situated near the coal processing plants. So here, one more term, let's see. Coal gas was used for street lighting for the first time in London in 1810 and in New York around 1920. Nowadays, it is used as a source of heat rather than light. So coal gas is used as a source of heat rather than light. So in textbook page number 59, let's see petroleum, how petroleum is formed and how in which proposed petroleums are used. Let's see. We know that petrol is used as a fuel in light automobiles such as motorcycles, scooters and cars. Heavy motor vehicles like trucks and tractors run on diesel. Petrol and diesel are obtained from a natural resource called petroleum. The word petroleum is derived from petra. Petra means rock and oleum means oil. So as it is mined from between the rocks under earth as shown in figure 5.4. So do you know how petroleum is formed? Let's see. Petroleum was formed from organisms living in the sea. As these organisms died, their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea and got covered with layers of sand and clay. Over millions of years, absence of air, high temperature and high pressure transformed the dead organisms into petroleum and natural gas. Here, transform the dead organisms into petroleum and natural gas. Now look at figure 5.4. Figure 5.4 is shown below. I will show you. It shows the deposits of petroleum and natural gas. You see that the layer containing petroleum oil and gas is above that of water. Why is it so? Recall that oil and gas are lighter than water and do not mix with it. So here petroleum and natural gas deposits are shown here. This is the reservoir rock and here is the water, this is the oil, this is the gas and impervious rocks and this is the well. So petroleum and natural gas deposits are shown in this figure number 5.4. Now let's continue. The world's first oil well was drilled in Pennsylvania, USA in 1859. 8 years later, in 1867, oil was struck at Makum in Assam. In India, oil is found in Assam, Gujarat, Mumbai. High and in the river basins of Godavari and Krishna. So here, these are the places where oil is available for our country, India. Refining of petroleum. Let's see, refining of petroleum. Petroleum is a dark oily liquid. It has an unpleasant odor. It is a mixture of various constituents such as petroleum gas, petrol, diesel, lubricating oil, paraffin wax, etc. The process of, next page, the process of separating the various constituents or fractions of petroleum is known as refining. It is carried out in a petroleum refinery. Figure number 5.5, a petroleum refinery is shown in textbook. This is the petroleum refinery. So, various constituents of petroleum and their uses are given in table 5.1. Here, table 5.1, you can see various constituents of petroleum and their uses. So, constituents of petroleum gas in liquid form, LPG. Its uses: fuel for home and industry, And point number 2, petrol. It is used for motor fuel, aviation fuel, solvent for dry cleaning. And point number 3, kerosene, fuel for stoves, lamps, and for jet aircrafts. And diesel, fuel for heavy motor vehicles, electric generators. And point number 5, lubricating oil, used in lubrication. Paraffin wax, used in ointments, candles, vaseline, etc. And bitumen is used in paints, road surfacing. So, many useful substances are obtained from petroleum and natural gas. These are termed as petrochemicals. Petrochemicals. These are used in the manufacture of detergents, fibers, that is, polyester, nylon, acrylic, etc. Polythene and other man-made plastics, hydrogen gas obtained from natural gas is used in the production of fertilizers, that is, urea. Due to its great commercial importance, petroleum is also called black gold. So, petroleum is also called as black gold. So, here, natural gas, let's see, natural gas. Natural gas is a very important fossil fuel because it is easy to transport through pipes. Natural gas is stored under high pressure as compressed natural gas, in short we know as CNG. CNG is used for power generation. It is now being used as a fuel for transport vehicle because it is less polluting. It is a cleaner fuel. The great advantage of CNG is that it can be used directly for burning in homes and factories, where it can be supplied through pipes. Such a network of pipelines exists in Vadodara, that means Gujarat, some parts of Delhi and other places. So here CNG, compressed natural gas, is used as fuel for transport of vehicles. Natural gas is also used as a starting material for the manufacture of a number of chemicals and fertilizers. India has vast reserves of natural gas. In our country, natural gas has been found in Tripura, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and in the Krishna Godavari Delta. So here, can coal, petroleum, and natural gas be prepared in the laboratory from dead organisms? So here one question asks, no, their formation is a very slow process and conditions for their formation cannot be created in the laboratory. Here is the question, coal, petroleum, and natural gas be prepared in the laboratory from dead organism? And here is the answer, no, their formation is a very slow process and conditions for their formation cannot be created in the laboratory. Now here, some natural resources are limited. Let's see. You have studied in the beginning of the chapter that some natural resources are exhaustible, like fossil fuels, forests, minerals, etc. You know that coal and petroleum are fossil fuels. It requires the dead organisms millions of years to get converted into these fuels. On the other hand, the known reserves of this will last only a few hundred years. Moreover, burning of these fuels is a major cause of air pollution. Their use is also linked to global warming. It is therefore necessary that we use these fuels only when absolutely necessary. This will result in better environment, smaller risks of global warming, and their availability for a longer period of time. In India, the Petroleum Conservation Research Association, in short PCRA, advises people how to save petrol or diesel while driving. Their tips are: drive at a constant and moderate speed as far as possible in order to save fuel. Switch off the engine at traffic lights or at a place where you have to wait. So we have to switch off engine in the traffic light or at a place where we have to wait. Ensure correct tire pressure. Correct tire pressure, air pressure, we should ensure it. And ensure regular maintenance of the vehicle. So with that, it comes to the end of this chapter. Here, let's study some question answers. Question number 1, let's see. What are the advantages of using CNG and LPG as fuels? So here the answer for this question, you can say some advantages are there. Point number 1, they are used as non-polluting fuels to transport vehicles. And point number 2, LPG and CNG both are easy to store and transport. And point number 3, CNG is used for power generation. And point number 4, these fuels have more energy per unit volume. And point number 5, LPG can be used directly for burning in homes and factories. And point number 6, these are easily available and have affordable costs. And last point, LPG and CNG has virtually no ash particles left after burning. Here question number 2, name the petroleum product used for surfacing of roads. This is bitumen. Bitumen is the petroleum product used for surfacing of roads. Question number 3, describe how coal is formed from dead vegetation. What is this process? Coal. Question number 3. And here the answer is long, so you study yourself and try to give answer. And I will give you now only the short question answers. Question number 4, fill in the blanks. Here fossil fuels are dash dash and dash. So here for question number 4, fill in the blank. Answer: fossil fuels are natural gas, coal and petroleum. You have to fill natural gas, coal and petroleum. And number B, process of separation of different constituents from petroleum is called, it should be refining. And question C, less polluting fuel for vehicles is CNG, compressed natural gas. And for question number 5, tick true or false against the following statements. Fossil fuels can be made in the laboratory. Actually, it is false. CNG is more polluting fuel than petrol. And it is also false. Number C, coke is almost pure form of carbon. Number C is true. Coal tar is a mixture of various substances. It is true. Kerosene is not a fossil fuel. It is false. So here are some short question answers. You have seen these textual questions. And let's see question number 6. Explain why fossil fuels are exhaustible natural resources. So you can write answer in this way. Fossil fuels are formed over a period of millions of years by the action of high temperature and high pressure on the remains of dead plants and animals. These fossil fuels are exhaustible natural resources because if these are exhausted by human activities cannot be recreated in a short period of time. And here also one more question number 7. Describe characteristics and uses of coke. So in your textbook it is there. Question number 7. Say coke is a tough, porous and black substance. It is produced by destructive distillation of coal. And it is an almost pure form of carbon, and it is used as domestic as well as an industrial fuel in stoves and furnaces. It is used in the manufacture of steel. It gives little or no smoke. It is used for extraction of metals. It can be used to make fuel gases. So, here is one question number 8. Explain the process of formation of petroleum. You can find answer for this question from the textbook itself. And for this question number 9, following table shows the total power shortage in India from 1991 to 1997. So the data in the form of a graph, plot shortage percentage of the year. So you can use graph paper or you can draw in the Cartesian plane. So with that, it comes to the end of this chapter for today. Let's stop here. Bye.